My mum's story is she was 17 when I was born. Previous to that, she'd been in a relationship with my birth dad for 18 months and found herself pregnant. She was one of a very large family, and they were living in a small social housing property, so 10 of them all together. And my birth father was orphaned, brought up by family, very respected family in the town where they lived. So it was decided for them that the best thing for everybody was to have the baby adopted. That wasn't either of their desires, but it was decided for them. Because she was and the family were involved in the local Methodist Church, it was organised through the Methodist Church. There was a deaconess there that tried to help, and who my mum talks of very, very fondly. Obviously, she felt loved and cared for. My mum was very much part of that church. She taught in the Sunday school, part of the youth group, and loved it. She says even now she loved it. So as the time got closer for her to have me, she was sent to a mother and baby home somewhere in London. And the story she tells about that is just horrendous. The way she was treated and other people were treated, it's just awful. She was repeatedly told she was a naughty girl. And because she'd tasted the forbidden fruit, she deserved everything that was coming to her. She deserved to suffer. She was scum of the earth. The time came I was born, she kept me for 6 weeks. She was made to look after me for 6 weeks, do all the things you do with your first baby. And then at the end of the 6 weeks, she was driven to a National Children's Home, and she said she can see herself now. I was nuzzled into her, and she felt this elbow in her side forcing her to hand me over, and then she was put back in the car, driven back to St Pancras station, and in her words, I was dumped at the St Pancras station, left to find my own way home. And she said when she got back, she was not the same person as when she left home. So I was always told from being tiny, my adoptive parents told me a story about when I was little, or when I was a baby, they went and chose me. I was chosen, and there was several babies to choose, but they chose me. So I was very special, very chosen. But I don't think it really hit home till I was about 8. I was walking home from school one day with my friend, and she said to me, "You're adopted, you are." I said, "No, I'm not." And I got home and I said to my mum, "Am I adopted?" My adoptive mum. And she went, "Yeah." And she then tried to explain a little bit more detail, because I was older then. I think I just felt different from that point. I just wanted to be the same as everybody else, but I felt different. I think there was a point in my teenage years where I thought, at some point I am going to look for my birth mother. I have a very wild imagination, so I imagined what she might be like. I imagined that, we're going back to the 70s, and she was very trendy, and she'd wear a white suit and a big white hat, and I wondered, what would it be like if I walked past her in the street? Would I recognise her? Would she recognise me? When our first child was born, I looked at them and I thought, they look like me, but who am I? So our minister then sort of accompanied me in a way through that and helped me deal with a lot of the issues I'd got, and then encouraged me to look into my background. So we made an application to social services for the paperwork. The initial thing was write a letter to my mum, and it was just to my mum because she got to be there at the birth, so she got to have known about me. So we found the contact details. We'd been through electoral registers and found out where they lived. We'd even driven up to the end of the road. And my husband said, "Do you not want to go and knock on the door?" No, that's not how it's done. So I wrote a letter, and the first response I got was from my nan, my mum's mum. So she was delighted I got in touch. And then I got a letter from my birth dad, because they'd married after having me, saying that wasn't quite sure why I got in touch, but these are some details. And then I got a letter from my mum, saying she was so glad that I got in touch. And there was a few letters backwards and forwards. I can't remember the time scale, but eventually we did meet. I met with her and my birth dad. One of my big questions as I was growing up was, why wasn't I good enough? Why couldn't my mum keep me? Because I knew nothing really. Nowadays, children that are adopted come with a story. We didn't in those days. And what she's been able to reassure me of is that I was very much wanted. What she didn't understand were these were supposedly sisters, these were people who worked for the church, and she didn't understand how they could be so unkind and so judgmental. She said everybody was treated the same, and she said some girls were treated even worse than she was. They were made to do chores, and there are stories of people who had the babies and then 2 or 3 hours later were made to scrub the floor. That wasn't my mum's story, but that is other stories I've heard. And maybe the church felt it could help, you know, and maybe the origins of it were good, but it just wasn't, it didn't sit well with her, you know. One of the things she said the other day was, I don't let the bond between us get too close, and I don't get too close to you because I'm scared somebody will come and snatch you away again. I mean, she's in her 80s and I'm in my 60s. That's not going to happen. But she still lives with that shame. She still lives with that fear. And it just sort of makes me think, I just wish we could apologise as a church for what we did, you know. And these people probably thought they were doing the right thing at the time, but clearly it wasn't. Sometimes I think we look back at things from today with today's eyes, and culture and times were different, but I can't see how telling somebody they're scum of the earth and you deserve everything that's coming to you, you deserve to lose your baby, how that can ever be right in any culture or any time. She said she'll never step foot in a Methodist church again, but there have been some faith conversations, you know, and there's clearly is that understanding that, you know, she has an understanding. And only last week she said to me, but it wasn't the Methodist Church, was it? It was those people that spoke to me like that. An apology from the Methodist Church would be so helpful for so many people. There's so many people that have been hurt through these forced adoptions, which the Methodist Church was a part of. I would love the Methodist Church, if it can, to apologise for what happened, not just to us, but to all the thousands of people that have passed through its doors and might have been treated in this way. I hope that people can take away from this that there is hope and there is healing, and that as a Methodist Church, I've certainly been offered help, and there is help available as well if anybody wants it. I hope that people will come forward and tell their stories so that we can build up a bigger picture. But my real motivation is for healing and restoration, and for people to know that they're loved and valued. You know, they're not these awful people that we're made out to be. So that's my hope, that there is hope, and that we're all valuable.